I make it a little lower? Just a little one? Yeah. All right, that's a little bit better. Sorry, I'm not that tall. That sounds really different when somebody else reads it out loud. Anyway, so this is the story of a funny number guy's Paul. That's what we'll call him. It all started in 2016. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I was over just parenting. I had already been in the workforce before I decided to stay home with my kids, and I needed to get out. So what did I do? I took a comedy writing class, right? That's what we all do when we're bored. Took the class, and guess who was in that class? Paul. Got it, Paul, right? Paul was there. He was cute, he was funny, he was young, and I was very much still married at that time. It was just like a little crush. And I did what a crush will make you do sometimes, and that is introduce yourself to the stranger in class. So I did so, found out that he actually kind of liked my desk pieces. That's just comedy nerd for he really liked my desk pieces. He did, yeah, we could tell you the people who do comedy stuff here. There was no innuendo there at all. And I actually kind of liked that. Also found out he was exactly 12 years younger than me and still lived with his mom. Yeah, there it is. I was gonna wait for the ooh, yeah. Still lived with his mom. Now, he also joked a lot, right? We're in a comedy writing class. He joked a lot about being a cliche. He always would say, I'm a typical Jewish boy. I'm really attached to my mom, right? And for me, I was like, that's a big red flag waving in my face. But also, I kind of feel like he was balling the red flag up and chucking it at my face. And I actually didn't care at the time. Didn't bother me, I think, because I really just wanted to make out with his face. That's really, really what I wanted. It's basically kind of started there. I think cut to 4 years later, we had become pretty close friends. I got divorced. It's okay to cheer for that. Thank you. I got divorced, and he tells me I'm moving to LA. So I kind of was okay, I support it, great. And his plan was to move out there and rent an Airbnb for a month, and then basically look for an apartment. So I was like, I love California. I also want to make out with him. So I'm going to kid around and say, hey, what if I just showed up on your doorstep? And he surprisingly said, please do. And he said it just like that. And I was very surprised and taken aback. And I was like, oh okay, all right. So I kind of just sat on it, and he came back to me later, and he was like, I booked the rental. I got a studio with bunk beds. And I was, okay, right, okay, but I kept going with it. And in my mind, flashes of the movie Big, from the 80s came up, and I was like, oh my God, I'm Elizabeth Montgomery, and oh my God, he's Tom Hanks, and that's weird, but also, I didn't care, and I also was like, oh my God, yes, we are in the 80s movie Big. So I just went with it because why? I wanted to make out with his face. I really, really wanted to make out with his face. So basically after that, I was like, I'm booking my flights. So I did it. I booked the flights. After that, I get to LA. He picks me up. We go back to the Airbnb, and after wine and cured meats and figs, he had figs, whole figs that I never had before. And we ate, and the sexual tension was palpable at this point, and I was coming out of my skin. I'm like, we have to go for a walk to the beach. And if you've ever been to LA, nobody walks in LA. okay? If you can drive there, you drive. So, especially at night. Nobody walks at night. So, we were already at Target. Anyway, 5 hours of power walking ensued. We walked for 5 hours. That's how much sexual tension there was. And after that, I was about to burst. I'm like, let's go back to the Airbnb. We get back, and what do? We go to sleep. That's what we do. We go to sleep. And it was definitely a down. But I spent a week there with him, and we did everything from nesting to flirting. He offered to take me to see my dad in Northern California. A little soon. And then when we got to, because of course we went, and then when we got there, we went out to dinner, and he basically called him Dad. Yeah, it was really quite awkward. It was definitely awkward. But all that being said, he still talks to his mom every night. Guys, I still talk to him. We don't date anymore, but he talks to his mom every night. I forgot to mention, he wears his retainers before he goes to bed. But I'll tell you one thing. When he didn't put his retainers in, guess what?
You made out with his face.
Even more.
Oh.
Sexy time. Yeah, that's how I knew he was ready. So, you know what? I'm not sorry about what I did. I wish all his mom and him the best of luck. But also just the fact that, like, after it was all done, I was like, you know what? I took a risk. I went after what I wanted. I got to go to California for a year and a half every month for a week. And sorry, but not sorry. Sorry. Thank you.